see. Where did I put this? Give me a minute. The stream has been nothing but difficult to even get working today. I'm sorry. I planned on a short stream, but getting started just not been very favorable for me today or much of this week, to be honest. Of course, this stream is, well, I hope, working. But I'm gonna put this here. And just have to excuse me for a second. I think I've been sitting here for like an hour and a half or 45 minutes just trying to debug after the recent Windows update, which we'll be talking about quite a few things. But anyways, I guess the first thing I have listed on here is why I missed stream. So I have multiple reasons, but I'm trying to think what the prominent reason was for missing it. And okay, that's working too. I was just making sure my music was up and working and all that. But here's the thing about it. I was what's the way to put it? So I almost streamed, but the way things were going with the week, I would have had to compromise on that stream and make it a very short stream in order to work. And what ended up happening then was a couple of things. So one, I started having trouble with my Windows update. So my storage space went down to like 21 gigabytes, 23 gigabytes or something like that. And before the update, kept having trouble. I had like over like 200 or so gigabytes of storage space. Let's just say every time the update failed. And what was funny is I thought, well, okay, I could turn my computer off. I can leave it alone. Well, as soon as I turned my computer on, each time it would keep taking up more storage space because the update kept trying to fix itself every time I turn it off. So that just screwed up my entire system every time. I was afraid to turn my computer off, which is just another reason why I can't fix stuff with, like, after drivers and things. I can't restart because then it's gonna screw up my storage space because Windows is being a little bit of a jerk. Let's just say that. Taking up more storage space than it should. Like, it tries to create these restore points and it stacks them. Even though it has one already, it won't delete the one from before. It just puts another one on there and duplicates and duplicates and frickin' duplicates. And I can't do anything about that. Like, when I delete it, it deletes all of them or none of them. I can't just delete some of them. So, you know, kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. And then each time I update OBS, each time Windows gets updated, which is what was happening today, is OBS, the monitoring device that I use with OBS, screws it up. And it wasn't until today that I figured out what exactly fixes it, I think. I had to do a reinstall to test. That screwed up too many things and ended up me having to install a couple plugins, which I didn't plan on having to do today, but I wouldn't do that, wouldn't advise doing that. Do not uninstall and reinstall. If there's an update installed, that could fix it, but what fixed it for me was all I did was put the monitoring device directly to my output, or to my, for my case, my earbuds, because I can't put it through a virtual device or any of those other things without it messing it up. So I had to do that, restart OBS, then I was able to hear things, and then what I could do is swap back to the virtual device or whatever I'm using, and that fixed monitoring for me. But so as to say, every single update it does that. It's not like something that just randomly happens. It is quite obvious that they change Like I even see it with the update. I see on there it says update driver for your audio system. Like it says it's updating, so I know they're touching something there that is breaking it. I don't know if it's a naming convention or something. It could be. And to be fair, maybe it's because I'm using the virtual device, but I'm curious because I mean, the whole reason you use monitoring usually and tends to be is you're not going to use the default device. In fact, my default device for my audio system on my computer changes just about every single update. I have to fix that. And not just that, I have listening devices too that I use with routing. Those change irregularly, but they do change sometimes, which is going to screw up my audio and end up making me do things that will mess up my audio if I do not remember. So I have like 4 or 5 different things I have to pay attention to every time there's an update just to make sure that my audio doesn't break, which I'll tell you, if I could just keep it a little simpler, it would be nice, but the way I have everything set up, it doesn't work that way. I'd have to actually set it up a different way to fix it through another way. And I mean, not to say that I haven't had ideas in the past of changing my audio and stuff, but it's more difficult than it should be. I will put it that way. Well, there's a lot of things. Like I said, this week, I didn't even talk about this week. I mean, I guess I kind of talked about it with the Windows updates thing. I mean, for some people, that's enough of a reason to say I missed stream because Windows was being a little bit of a tricky thing to get working after the update, which it didn't update, and I had to go back and update and fix it like that for it's the funny thing. Like, I'll install an update and I wait there on the screen watching it and say, okay, you're gonna restart now. No, the update failed, we're rolling back. And then it does that like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 times, right? It does it that many times, literally. That's why I have so much storage space. I start out with like 220 free, and then I end up with like 27 gigabytes. And now I'm still like, as far as I could tell, I'm missing like 80 gigabytes still. So there's something that they did that I have to find and delete. Like this, I can't even fathom why it has to be such a pain just to up. Like, imagine if I didn't have 200 gigabytes of storage space, what would have happened? Like, what would happen if I run out of storage space? It just wouldn't be able to roll back. It wouldn't be able to fix stuff because it just decides, I'm not going to delete the last one. I'm just going to put another one on there and another one. I'm not like, oh, there's 7 or 6 or 8 of them. I need all 6 or 8 or 9 or I need 20 rollbacks. I need freaking 20 of. Who needs that many rollbacks? Just do 2 or 3 at most. Even that, you just need 1 or 2. I wouldn't even see any more than that. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but, let me just get into the thing that's actually part of the reason that, like I said, even if I did end up streaming that, and that was what actually prevented me from doing the compromise stream, which would have been a couple hours, but I have more to explain. I hope I haven't deterred you just by everything I've done right now, but this week has both good and bad aspects. It's just, right before this stream I had to deal with that bad aspect because it was being a little bit of a pain with my audio system, so I'm happy I got it fixed. Actually, I tested the audio system, I thought, after the update. Turns out either the update didn't go or there was a second update this week, which, let's just be honest here, if there's 2 updates so close together, it is aggravating to have to fix this every update. Let's just say that. Like, how many times do I have to fix my PC? Every time I turn it on, I almost have to fix it because there's an update. It's like, I can't just get a fucking break. I have to fix my PC every damn time I turn it on because they have to update it every time I turn it on. It is ridiculous. Okay, anyways, so but it could just be because it didn't work with the update from before. But like I said, from my perspective, all I could see is I thought the update went through and that I fixed it. But it stands to reason because everything else wasn't broken, the update didn't work. I don't know why it has to be the metric that my system breaks for the update to have worked, but it's the only metric I have at the moment. Okay, now let me get into the thing for why that is so that I can get past that. So, what happened was, let's see. It was going to be a compromise stream because... a compromise stream. Because I had... Okay. So for this week I had a couple of things I was doing off stream. So I had an event and then I had to travel. I didn't really have enough time to do a full stream because the very next day I had to get prepared and everything. And I really couldn't be staying up late, so there was that. That's part of the reason it had to be a compromise one. So I do apologize for that. But like I said, I missed it because those two things going together, they coincided. Like I was going to do a compromise stream, but I couldn't even do that because my system had to update. It didn't have to work, so I had to actually spend a couple hours fixing it. And I can't even remember what day I fixed it on, to be honest. I think I just kept my PC on because of other reasons, which I'm gonna get to, but... Jeez. I think there's like 3 or 4 different things. That's why it's gonna be complicated no matter what way I put it to you. Like, I cannot tell it to you in a complicated way. Because it is not... Like... well, to be fair, the reason I'm not streaming is because it was easy. It had to have been a complicated reason. I hope this suffices for why I didn't stream. Not that I'm looking for that, not that I expect you to have to think or feel that way about it, because I don't want to be that way. It's obviously, I want you to be able to come to my streams and enjoy it, me to be able to make things that are enjoyable. But, you know, if something wraps up like this, and I have few things that I can do to fix it, the best I can do is what I have done. And I'm going to explain to you what I've done, which is basically, I committed the time, put the time in, but even putting the time in, nothing. There's just nothing I can do. It just need more time to do it. So anyways, I just needed more time to fix things. I just did not have the time to fix them in the time that I promised you to do them. I could try to fix it as much as I want. I just did not have the time this week to do it. I tried. Like, each day I would spend hours. I'll put it this way, and I'm not going to say it's related to this, but it is in somewhat ways connected. A couple of nights I didn't even sleep. I actually passed out a couple times just trying to fix everything, but, you know, that didn't really work very well. I tried to meet a lot of different schedules for this week, but it turns out I probably should have paced myself a little bit more with my schedule. The problem is even if I pace myself with my schedule, I did not stream this week anyways, and I still was dealing with that stuff. I still would have had to deal with the Windows update. It does not matter. So it's not because of the streams and things I'm promising you. It is because of Windows. It is because of all this other stuff happening this week. It is just a week that would have happened regardless if I had a stream set for it. Like, it is ridiculous. And I'm going to explain a little bit more to you because I was planning for today to have something a little bit bigger planned for you. And no, it's not because this was, well, I mean, partially because of this. I couldn't really do it even if I wanted. It's like, even if I wanted to do something, I can't do it because both of the things coincide just perfectly for themselves. That if I wanted to not say anything, I could, and I'd have perfectly good reason, but I have all the intentions to tell you, so... You know, take it from what you will, even if things are not the way they should be going. Not that there was a way they should be going, but, you know, my system shouldn't be screwing up to this degree. And by system, I don't mean, like, PC or that, but I just mean, like, all of the stuff surrounding it. I feel like it's more across a failure technology-wise than it is a planning failure. Like, it's just all the technology endpoints are screwing themselves up together. I feel like it's just a thing bound to happen, regardless of what I plan for. So, I'm not going to try to get mad about that part of it, but there's a lot of different things too. But I'm going to explain this thing first, and then I want to talk about another thing that's kind of unrelated, but also contributed a little bit to me feeling not like I was up to streaming too. So I'll explain that other thing too, but I didn't want to come to the stream with a bunch of excuses, because I feel bad that I'm, having to explain all this stuff as in the form of an excuse. I feel like, oh, I did it, but I didn't really want to do a crappy stream. If I could have done like, maybe I could have like at midnight done like an hour or two or something. I don't know, late. That's not something that I think you would have wanted, and I don't think it would have been good for me either, because like I said, the very next day I had to plan for trip stuff. Like, no, I did not have the time for that, and two during the week that I had to plan for, not just that. So it wasn't the only thing that I was doing that was off of stream and not having anything to do with stream or making content or any of that. Like, it didn't have anything to do with that. And we'll get to some other stuff too in just a minute. I feel like I'm going to spend a couple hours just trying to explain everything that happened, but this isn't really like me. I do not like to give excuses for things. Even though I know that is obviously reasonable, but it's still an excuse, and I don't like that. So let me see. Okay, how was I gonna do this? Okay, I hope everything still is the way it was. I'm gonna explain something to you, but I can't give you all the details on it yet, because originally for today, like I said, I had a little bit more planned and that I wanted to do today, but I couldn't. For the main reason, and the base reason, even though all this other stuff happened and I could just use them as excuses as excuses if I wanted to, the main reason is I just couldn't get it done in time. I could not get it done in time for today. Now, partially, I could blame some of these other things because I had to work on them. And to be fair, it's a little bit that. Just a little bit. But I already had other things that weren't related to any of that stuff, and that stuff ate into it a teensy bit. But I don't think it was that. I just think it was simply over a longer period of time, a much longer period of time. I'm gonna put it this way: roughly 2 years ish or something like that. It's been a long time in the make. As I'm not gonna explain everything to you right now, or what it is, or any of that kind of stuff. I hope you can respect that, but I'm gonna give you what I can right now, because what I want to do is say that today is the time that I kind of remove the whole I need to have it done today, because obviously there's very little I could do, and like I was explaining before, I probably stayed up till like 3 in the morning just trying to see if I could get it ready, but I just couldn't. I couldn't get it done in that amount of time, no matter how much time I spent. So I'm going to show you what I can right now, and we're not going to elaborate anymore, but I do want to give you something, and it's not really that it's much of anything, but it is something because I haven't told you about it. So I'm going to show this, and since we're doing it today, I figured today was the best day to reveal this, and as a bit of an apology, and I guess the one thing I will say is my hopes are that I'll be able to talk more about this like after a few streams, because I still need to talk about the makeup streams and all those things for the last one I missed. So there is that. So here's what I'm going to explain. I'm thinking at some point, so for this, I do not have a timeline. All I know is in the next few streams or something, I should have what originally I was going to do today ready, and maybe even more than that, I don't know. And when I have that, then I'll tell you what it is and when to. I don't even think there's a when to expect, to be honest. When I get to that point, that was when I was going to tell you I don't have a timeline for it. I was just hoping to get rid of the whole timeline, because originally I was going to have everything done today. Wow. But at some point, after hearing everything that was going on for Spider-Man Day and all that stuff, I just figured I'm not going to try to take a lot of stuff for that day. It's probably even better that I just kind of let it let it have its own time, let it breathe, and just move it out of that. So hopefully an announcement that there's some stuff I'm going to talk about, some later streams, can hopefully hold it over and give you a little info as to why I just was spending about every single day I could to be able to do more today with it, but I could not. So this is what I can give you now, and I hope that this at least gives you somewhat of a look. I think I have the right one. Yeah, I do have the right one here. So, you know, I will leave that to you there. Hopefully that is of some interest to you, but I'm not going to elaborate any more on this. Like I said, I have a reveal for what it is planned at a later point, which was originally today, but like I said, I stayed up just about all night just trying to finish it, rather. Not fix it, it wasn't broken. But there's too much to do for me to finish it within a reasonable amount of time there, so I'm not going to have a timeline for it, but I think it's reasonable for me to say within the next couple streams, especially once I get ahead on things and I'm not so behind. I feel like either by the next slate or the other stuff, I'll have it by then. Also, I wanted to say this, for the Batman stream that I missed, I don't have a date for making up all of the stream order of things, but I will be taking that game and playing it on the Tuesday stream I have coming up. And then after that, I'm just gonna have to go live at a certain date. Like, I'm just gonna have to figure out between there and then, like, I think there's still 2 more games left. I'm gonna have to work out how I'm gonna play them both within the time I have, because I have a schedule. It's very strict. I cannot push it. I just have to keep it where it is. But what I'm gonna reveal to you is a teaser for the next schedule really quickly. And that is going to be, like, hopefully, you know, a way to apologize for taking so long. But it's just a way for me to show you, you know, there's stuff in the works. And I'm hopefully not giving away anything I wouldn't want to give away early, but at least giving you something to see what the plans are. Anyways, here is the early one, as you can see here. This is a bit of an early thing for the next slates. Not going to say what the theme or any of that is, but I'm sure you can tell somewhat what it's going to be. And that's kind of like the slate for the next one. I feel like they're monthly slates at this point. But yeah, so I hope you could be excited for the next slate then. Obviously, like I said, we'll be picking up the game that I missed this week on this coming Tuesday, which means all of them are going to be pushed back. I'm going to try to put in the title when the stream ends that I'm a week behind. Makeup stream TBD or something like that. Something like that. So I'm trying to use these things a little bit more. You might even notice too, I've added my times and a little bit of a difference to my pinned comments, so you can tell like my times for my streams and things like that. I'm trying to do some stuff, and I have some things I need to explain to you. So let me go back to the other thing here. I'm not going to keep this image here. I want to keep the other one, which was the more related to what's going on and stuff. And just keep this on. So, actually, I might as well just go to my character. Let's just be honest. I'm happy that it's working now, because it got broken after my OBS fixes, but... Anyways, I need to explain a couple of things of what I'm going to be doing, because you need to know kind of what the plans are and everything. So here's what I'm thinking. There's a lot of things. I think I might be missing something, or maybe not. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is with my shorts, I think I'm going to hold back on shorts, mostly because of the thing I'm working on, and because really a bigger reason is, so here's my current plan. I'm going to have a couple of slates for the rest of this year. I don't know if any of them are going to carry over into next year or not, but what I'm thinking is I'm going to do a bit of a break after a certain slate. I'm still trying to figure out what the last slate I'm going to reveal is. But I'll still have slates and things planned after that, and I'll pick them back up after the break. But what I want to do is do some internal work for the channel and everything. And maybe even take some time out to get some things straight for all of the stuff I'm talking about right now. So if it would be a fair enough thing to say, once I take, you can call it the Christmas break or whatever you want to call it like that. Once I take that break, I might take it to be a slightly extended break just to work on my channels and things. That's kind of what my plan has been, is because I just need some time where I'm not trying to make shorts or make streams, and I can work on a couple of things that I've had waiting to happen. So I hope that would be okay if I do that. I would just need some time off of streaming and everything to do that, because I want to work on my main channel, I want to work on the VODs channel, I want to work on my stream stuff. I just want to get everything a little more consolidated and fixed up, and I really can't do that and stream at the same time. So if I could just take off a little bit of time, beginning from the... I don't have... Like, I wouldn't be able to give you a timeline for when it's finished, because I want to have some things ready for when I get back. So I hope by telling you this, maybe that would hopefully make it okay to do that. If you wouldn't mind me saying that. I know it could end up being quite a bit of time. I don't know if it could be a month or more. It could be longer. I'd like it not to be, but I'm not going to try to speculate on a timeline. I just kind of want to work on it, see how it feels, and then see how my channel feels when I have the stuff prepped for it. Because for the reality of it, I have a lot of ideas and things, and I just feel like I want to get it structured in a way that's like, that's what we've been working on, really, right? And I feel like trying to manage it and streams at the same time has been building up a little bit over time. And I just need to work on a couple fixes and a couple things here and there that have just piled up. So I don't know how long that's going to take to fix everything and to consolidate things and to move things from one thing to another and do some new things and whatever. I just need to figure out what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I already kind of know some of that, but you know, I don't want to really give you an idea of what it's going to be or how long, because I might change things, might do things. That's the whole point of me taking some time to just kind of review everything that I've had build up and then move into that. But like I said, I still have a couple slates planned up until the end of this year, so you know, it could be a little bit into next year I still have a slate going, or it could be where it just stops and then by Christmas time-ish, and then after that it might start up a little bit later into next year, into the early part of next year. But like that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't want to give any promises here. And like I said, for the thing that I'm gonna do the reveal stuff, is probably gonna be during my last few slates, or even by the August one or whatever that I talk more about it. But I just figured, you know, I should let you know, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some more information on that. Like I said, no timeline for that either. Both of these things are kind of decoupled from timelines, because, it's gonna be honest with you, the timelines are probably the biggest reason that I feel like things haven't really gone the way that I would have wanted them to, because I've ended up either making too many compromises to meet the deadline, or it just doesn't end up being like what I want it to be. So that's why I'm trying to decouple from the timeline mindset and more into the, you know, be a little more creative and kind of just let it simmer, and hopefully I can give you something that, you know, you'll like. But that is kind of where I'm going with this. And what I've liked is the streams. The problem is that you know, working on all these other little bits and bobs and everything else that the streams touch, I just want to get all that stuff consolidated and fixed up. And then, you know, if that gives me a little more time to work on this other thing too, then that would be great as well. Anyways, yeah, I don't want to make too many promises. I don't want to explain too much. But let me see if I have a couple other things or not to give you. Let's see. Oh yeah, so there's one thing I was going to tell you about. So it was on the day that I was going to stream that I heard about it. And I might have got a little bit absorbed into it, and that took up a little bit of time, like the night before or whatever. It wasn't on the day. I can't really remember which of the two it was. But I heard that they were going to stop producing discs and stuff with PlayStation and all that. And I will admit, that got me a little bit upset, just because, you know, I've been moving a lot more towards digital games for things. But if I'm being honest, when I play digital games, most of the time I'll play them on PC, not really on console. So yeah, it just kind of got me upset because I felt like I don't really have a reason to even be invested in a console if, you know, if PC kind of just feels like the thing I'm using, and why should I waste my time or even money on a console if I could play it on PC without having to, you know, I'd rather the money go into my PC, to be honest. Let's just be honest. Like, if you're gonna spend that much money on a console, I'd rather spend it on a graphics card or, you know, something that'll do that. Like, just being honest with you. Like, if I'm only gonna be able to get something digitally, it's far more benefit to me to have it on PC. Because I use PC for a lot more than for games, to be fair. So I get more benefit out of that. But also, a lot of times when I get the console, it's usually because I want to get a physical game, you know? I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but one of the things that's disappointed me the most about it is... like, here's the weird thing. Physically, like, you always get the base version physical, right? But what's the really weird... like, it's really weird. A lot of collector editions get a digital game. It is the weirdest thing I've ever... like, fair enough, you're gonna go digital, but why are you doing that for a collector's... that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have a base version that's non-collector's edition, like a physical, you know, a standard edition. You have a disc, but the collector's edition doesn't have that. Like, if any of them should have a physical one, it should be the like, the people that pay for the collector's edition are usually the people that want a physical one. I would argue that. It is beyond me why that is how you start out with digital. That is so weird. I don't get it. I just do not get it. Like, at least have collectors or like special ones if you're, if that's, you know, if you can't do like mass whatever physical, at least have at least something. I don't know. I mean, do I think everything has to be digital? No, I don't want every single game digital, but I would like a lot of them digitally. And do I think, you know, let me put it this way. Every single game, some people like to have them physical, some people are okay with it digital. And that could be for the same game. It's not like just this game is all digital, this game is all physical. Like, that's not the case. There ain't nobody that's all physical and all digital either way. Like, at this point, people are a little bit of both. Like, there's some games people are alright with digitally, and some games they want physical. And I think it's really the wrong move to go all digital completely without having some kind of physical part of it, because it's not like every game is forced into a digital confinement. Like, there are some games that can be physical and they can go good. Like, for instance, we have things like, what is it, like limited run games and things like that. Like, you have physical of some degree. I don't know why you can't have, like, to some degree that. I mean, even if you're just taking a pre-order kind of equivalent thing of, okay, this many people are going to buy a physical, and after that we're not going to produce physical copies. I'm all right with that. You just get it early, or you have to get it digital. Fair enough. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world, but all digital, I don't know if I agree with that. I do not know if I agree with that. I think you could do better. I just think you could. Anyways, It's like if you do the pre-order thing, you don't even have to produce them unless people are actually going to buy them. There is that point. And if not enough people are going to buy them, then, well, maybe you could say something to that. You could have like a, oh, reach this much, then we'll make a physical copy. Maybe I'm going a little bit off the charts with that, but, you know, it's just like, you know, if it's a cost-related thing, it's all digital, I don't know. Even a collector's edition would be something, but all digital, even for that. Like, don't even have collector's editions. Don't even have a console, for Pete's sake. Just have a freaking PC at that point. Like, you don't need a console. You don't need to pay $1,000 for a console, and the same thing could get you a PC. They'll get you way more value out of that than a console ever would. Let's just be honest. And most people might say that, well, then you could get a laptop. You could... There's a lot of things you could do if you can get it only digitally that would be better. I mean, for the amount of price, the storage space, nobody's talking about that. I mean, for the amount of storage space you need for their games digitally, right? Let's put it in perspective for you. A couple terabytes, a couple $100 just for that. You might be saying, well, it's only 600, it's only 500. They're gonna have to stack on a couple $100 just for the storage space for you to even have your games on your system. Like, there's that. So I don't know what argument you want to have for that, but just because you have a good internet connection doesn't mean that you're not spending a couple $100 just to be able to play one game. One freaking game, hundreds of gig. Like, you know how many gigabytes you have to install just for a game? I'm already having this much trouble with my Windows update. You know how big it is? Like, you'll be lucky to even install a second or a third game on your system at the same time. Like, you'll have to keep uninstalling and reinstalling. And who knows how long your storage is gonna last before you have to get a new one, which is a couple $100 just to replace it. Like, what the heck? And then you have to pay the $80 or $90 still for the game. Like, it's not like they're reducing the price of the game any. You're still paying $80 frickin' dollars. It used to be $60, and now you pay that and you only get it digitally. You don't even get a physical version, and all this other stuff. Like, you have to pay for your storage now too, on top of that, because it's going like that. So a couple $100 now, you're paying like $200 or $100 more dollars just for more storage space if you need it to even... Like, there might even be some games that you have to literally buy extra storage just to install a single game. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Like, there's no, like, games are getting smaller, they are getting larger, and it is getting ridiculous. I do not get it. Anyways, I don't see how they're gonna do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if they want to, I do not think it is feasible with the current way things are going. They're going to have to change a lot more than just we're making it digital. I'm going to be honest with you. You can't just make it digital and make it work. You cannot price it, okay? I know you do not care about how much you charge people for things. I know you do not care. But people do care about how much they pay for things. People do care, even if you do not. So you're going to either figure it out if you don't do something about it, or people just will not be able to afford to pay $200 to fix their drive every time. Like, I already have to fix my drive so much, I'm worried about it being able to sustain itself after a couple of updates just because of how many times I have to fix the updates. Like, thinking about the same kind of thing for having to install and uninstall games and do stuff like that. Like, you'd be lucky if you just could play one game on your $1,000 console. You just buy one freaking game for $1,000. Like, who in the hell thinks that is a good idea? You spend that much money for a console and you're only gonna buy one damn game? Holy, that is ridiculous. That is not worth it. You could just buy a freaking PC and buy a bunch of games. That's ridiculous. I know you want convenience, but that is not convenient. That is just ridiculous. I don't care how big the game is. I don't care how popular the game is. Thousands of, like, you're gonna spend $1,000 just for the storage space plus the console. If the console's $800 or if it's $600, it could be $500. You're still gonna have to spend like $100 or more dollars just for more storage space, even if the game doesn't fit on the system, because oh, we're not going to put enough storage space on the system, or oh, we're going to put storage space, but it's going to cost you more. Restricts to what kind of games you can even play on the system. Like, I get it, you still have your disc, and I guess to some degree it installs it on there, but it takes it off. But it's not really convenient like that, because it's not like you have the game present, right? You don't presently have the game, you have to connect over the internet and stuff. And I guess, you know, they expect you to be able to reinstall it and use that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to put it out there with one concern I have, is the more and more you move towards that, if they don't do something about how big games are getting, and by that I mean like how much space they take up, then the storage space, which I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but there's always this whole thing debacle of storage space prices going up, and not like seeing any kind of like easing or anything. So I don't know why those two things have to coincide, or if the person saying it is the same person that's saying they're going all digital or not. I do not know that. But I will say this, if you're gonna do that, pull that stunt, and not have some kind of like some kind of measure, you're not gonna like have anything for the consumer, you're just gonna have everything for yourself. Well, let me put it into perspective for you. The more control they have over the stuff they're doing, the less they're gonna be defined to what they're gonna do for the consumer, which just means they have every reason to go towards more, say, you don't even have access to your games at all. And I don't mean pulling it from the store, I mean to even access your games, you might have to pay a subscription just to access them, to download them, to buy. You might have to pay a subscription just to buy a game, is where it's getting. And that's what I'm getting a little peeved with. Because I'm not going to pay a subscription fee just to gain access to purchase something. I'm not going to do that little game that you want to play. I'm not going to do that. I will just play on PC. I will not spend the money on the console, and then on your subscription on top of that, just to buy a game that I'm going to play offline. I don't get it. I do not get it. I understand for like a multiplayer game, going all digital for all multiplayer games. Go ahead. Go ahead. I fully support that. Anything that's just completely multiplayer, go fully digital. We do not need a physical disc for a multiplayer game, okay? You're gonna play it digitally anyways. When the server's gone, you're not gonna even be able to play the game. So go fully digital with that. That is fine. But for single player games, why? Like, a lot of people want a single player game they could play. Like, some of the convenience factor is, I don't have to connect to the internet. I don't have to have this account. I just have the game and I can play it. Why should I buy a console if I have the same kind of problems with doing PC? Like with a PC, you have to have an account. You have to do all this stuff, right? Well, with a console, usually that's part of the convenience. You just pop your game in and you play it. And that's something, you know, that's the convenience difference between a console and a PC. Well, we're getting very little difference between PC and console at this point. Other than that, you know, you don't really get the same quality of life things that a PC gives you. Like, you can't use all these other apps that a PC gives you. You can't do all the other things a PC can do as well. I mean, technically, you're getting keyboard and mouse and things on consoles. And to be fair, some consoles are actually trying to be a PC, which is nice. But whether or not it should just be the equivalent of it's an all system here for thousands of dollars, or they should move towards what desktops and towers do, where you can upgrade them and stuff. I mean, for the price point, they really should be moving towards that, to be honest, but that's my opinion, and that's not really something that they have to do. But I mean, it gets to a point where you wonder if they should just start manufacturing like a specialized component for a PC. Like, I mean, at that point, I mean, I do an Elgato capture card. Maybe they should just have like a PlayStation PCI device or a Xbox or a Nintendo one. I don't know. Like anyone could do something like that if they wanted to. Like, I mean, it gets to a certain point where, it's. To be fair, it's less with Nintendo and more really with PlayStation and console, not handhelds. I don't think they're doing anything problematic. It's just like when we're focusing on consoles, as in like, I feel like consoles are moving away from the whole convenience of what they used to be, and they're moving more towards what PCs are trying to do. But they're trying to say that they're not a PC at the same time while also doing things that PCs do. It gets a little annoying because you have a PC, but then the consoles are saying, we want you to pay money for our console, but we don't want to actually be a PC. But we want to do exactly everything that a PC does. We're going to make it just as complicated to use as a PC, but it's a console, so it's just convenient because it's a console and not because it's actually any more convenient than a PC at that point. I don't know. I can't blame anyone for being pissed off about the whole completely digital, all or nothing mindset. That is not the right one. I think things like limited run games equivalent, or like, only having it as a pre-order for physical, or just only collector's editions, there's a compromise. And it's, considering they're not willing to compromise to any degree, makes me worry that they're going to move towards that subscription model. I was saying they might even move towards a thing where it's cloud-based, to be honest, because a lot of places really wanted to do that. I wouldn't put it past them. So you won't even have it on your device. I mean, at that point, they're still going to make you pay for a freaking console and have it on the cloud. Like, I don't get it. But, apparently consoles make them enough money that, they can't be bothered to say, oh, we're decoupling from consoles too. No, we're going all digital. Great. Well, why don't you move off of consoles too? Because it makes us money. I do not get it. Pisses me off. It's stupid. I don't get it. But, the consumer, you're still charging the $80 or whatever you're gonna price it up to, $100 per game. You really only pay for one game, and you pay $1,000 fucking dollars for a console, and then you just get one damn game on that console. Like, oh my, that is getting absurd. That is getting absurd, and you're losing your convenience with the account stuff, and you can't, like, why not just play it on a freaking PC at this point? Like, there's no reason. Or you could even play it on a tablet if it becomes cloud-based. I don't know. Like, I just do not get the reason to still be so big on generations and consoles. You do not need generations anymore after that. But they're still going to do it because they want to get rid of their catalog and force you to have to buy the game again. Because, they couldn't be bothered to remaster it at least, or remake it. Like, they have to just, I don't know. I mean, if you want to make new controller layouts, you don't have to remaster a game for that and call it a new generation. I don't know. It's just, I just feel like there's so much convoluted stuff behind it. To be an all or nothing is not the mindset I would want for someone managing all of that stuff. It just feels crappy, because collector's editions at least should have had physical, for a couple $100 for collectors, there should be a physical copy of the game in that at least. And it's not like you only produce them freaking one time. If anything should have a physical copy, and it should be that. But no, you're gonna make us pay for a digital copy. No one's gonna pay for that. That's so stupid. Anyway, I mean, people will pay for it, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of people that would have bought it are not going to. But that's not the statistic you're paying attention to, I'll say that much. Anyway, not I just want to put it out here as one point. Not everything is a statistic that you're going to be able to observe until you've actually tried something. So if you haven't tried a compromise, and you're not going to have a statistic to prove it, therefore the only statistic you have to prove anything is the thing you did. So there's a certain point where your statistic is just self-proving itself instead of actually proving anything about what people want. Because, like, the more you're manipulating what the statistics are doing, the more you have proof to say you could do what you want, regardless of what people actually want. So, you know, they have complete control over the statistics, even though those are the things they're using to justify what they're doing. I don't think anybody should be, you know, saying that they don't have control over those statistics, because they do. Because, like, if they change something, obviously the statistic's going to change, but people aren't going to argue about that point because, you know, they figure they're telling the truth when they don't have to tell you what the statistics actually mean. They just have to tell you that they have a statistic that supports what they say, even if they're the one that manufactured that statistic. So, you know, take from that you will. I haven't gotten proof that they have, or they haven't, other than that they can, and it seems pretty reasonable that that's the trajectory they're going. And when I say manufacture, I don't mean intentionally entirely, I just mean that when they do something that changes the statistics, and if people don't have options, if you don't give them options, then the only thing they can choose is the thing you want them to choose. Okay, if you go all or nothing, then there's nothing else for them to choose, dummy. That's the whole point of a statistic. Wow, you've learned something. If you just choose, you can buy, and therefore, wow, that's the only thing people want. We just keep doing that. No, that's you saying, that's the only thing I want to do. I'm going to give them just that. And then it supports my thesis, and therefore I do not have to care what they think. Like, no, if you did a little bit of both, you might learn a thing or two that, A, maybe there's some degree that people want it and some degree they don't. Maybe now that we're saying it, people want it. I don't know. I do not think the collector's editions should have had it, though. I will say that. I don't know how that was a statistic. Now, believe people that buy a collector's edition want a digital version of the game. I'm gonna be quite honest with you there. That felt like a little bit of a statistical manipulation in my opinion. Because obviously people are going to buy less of those. Not that they would buy very many of them, but that's just another way to manipulate statistics. Put the digital version in collector's editions, which are the ones I feel like people would actually buy physically, arguably. And let me put it to you this way. A lot of times people want to buy, you know, editions with extra content. So you're putting an incentive for people to get it digitally, and then saying that your statistics are pointing towards people wanting digital more than they want physical. Problem is you're giving the digital more stuff for them to want it, and you're putting more complications behind getting it physically, because you have to buy these upgrades and these other things if you get it physically. It puts more tension and you know, more stuff for them to do. Obviously, you're manipulating the statistics. I don't think anybody in their right mind wouldn't see it after they're told that you're manipulating statistics just so you don't have to produce physical copies anymore, because you want to move towards people paying a subscription fee just to access their games. You want to do it cloud-based, but you still want to pay for a console at the same time. And that's the difference there. Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to work. And I disagree with it. I don't think going all digital is the right move. And I don't think going all physical is the right move. I think digital is there for a reason. It's there for people that don't particularly care about having a physical copy for every single game they own. And some people might only ever have one game physical. But, you know, I feel like they'd probably have a lot more if it wasn't so difficult to do all these other things. I don't know. Maybe they're not manipulating their statistics, and maybe they're not, you know, making the physical copies a lot harder to do stuff on than the digital copies. Maybe the digital copies are more convenient, and therefore, arguably, they couldn't include it with the physical copy anymore, like they used to, which they used to. And I would argue if you had a statistic for the physical copies that used to include all that stuff with them, and compared that to their digital copies that do the same thing, you might have a point to argue whether or not their statistics are being manipulated to some degree. Because I'd argue that the convenience factor is partially being used as a manipulation for whether or not they should actually do it. And I do not like that. If you're going to give me an excuse, be up in front and just say, we do not want to produce physical, it costs us something. Don't tell me that whole statistic crap. You obviously manipulated it. Just say, you know, we've been moving more towards convenience. We feel like we don't want to do physical copies for all these other things. And that's fair. And maybe they had like a downcline. I don't know, but they didn't say that. And to be fair, there's a lot of backlash. So, you know, I don't feel like that backlash would have been there if I had at least some metric to understand if the physical copy is just going to a base game and then all the digital stuff that you get extra, you have like this, you know, if you get a digital version, if you're going to go to all the trouble of doing it digitally, it's like this. Let me put it to perspective for you. Let's say you have a pop-up, right? And you have to click through like 3 or 4 different windows to access something. If someone says, well, here is a disc you get from the store. It's going to have like 20 or 30 pop-ups just to get it working. And then they have a digital copy you download off the store. And that digital copy doesn't have any of that. It's just convenient. That's manipulated convenience. Manipulated convenience. And it's not because it's saving them money. It's because it allows them to make more money. That's my point. I don't see how it's them making more money versus saving money. Now, at this point, yes, there are reasons for them to save money, and I'm not saying they don't have those. But I am saying the reason that they were manipulating these statistics before this had nothing to do with the same reasons they're doing it now. Now, I'm not trying to say they're manipulating them now, but I'm saying the reason that they're pushing towards it now, the thing that I'm talking about they were doing before, which subscription, which is cloud-based, which is all that stuff they've been trying, because they said they're doing it for broadband reasons. And anybody that knows that, yes, cloud-based, subscription-based, and all those other things are kind of what they're pushing towards, because I just told you with storage space, they're going to have trouble with consoles with that. They're still going to make you pay for a console, but they're probably going to have everything be on the cloud at some point, because, well, you have the internet connection for it, so might as well do it. You're going to stream your games. Which may not be a problem, but you still have to pay for the console to access that stuff, so, you know, you still have to pay that for that. And maybe it's more convenient, maybe it's better. But, like I said, it doesn't have to be an ownership problem as much as it is... I don't think you're going to be able to play games offline at a certain point. You're not going to be able to take a game somewhere where you don't have a consistent internet connection, which maybe there isn't as much of that anywhere else, but, you know, like, for instance, if you have a storm or if you have other things and you don't have any internet connection, you're going to lose access to your game. And I don't think that that is something they are thinking about. There's also the point of, like I said, generations. There's going to be a point where there's not really a big reason to say this is the next generation. It's just going to be them saying, we kind of feel like these games have been on here long enough that we can remove them. And it's not like an ownership problem. It's just... it's kind of forcing you to give them money without saying, well, here's a remaster, a remade version of this game. Here's one that we put a little bit of work into. Here is, you know, something. You're not just buying the same game because we want you to pay us money for this. Like, and you're paying for a subscription on top of that. Like, no, it doesn't even really save money all the time, depending on what games you want to get. I mean, it can, but, you know, if you're paying for like $100, a few $100s for a console, and you know, you don't even need the console really to run the game, then I mean, at that point you might as well just play it on a tablet or a TV. I mean, TVs you could play games on at some point. I know they're trying to do that. But I really don't understand the console thing. Like, you still have the generations and the console thing, and you're not willing to move the bar with that, but you're totally willing to go all digital. Like, it just baffles me. Like, it's not convenience. It's just it doesn't make any sense. You're still paying the same price. You're still doing all this. Anyways, I could complain about that all day, but like I said, that was one of the other reasons too. I learned about it on that same day, so it's, you know, a couple of things. And like I said, I had some good stuff during the week, but like, you know, the bad stuff certainly didn't help with me having enough time to stream and do everything like I wanted to and like I had promised. So I do apologize for that. I hope I'm not distracting or detracting you by saying all this stuff. And, you know, maybe my concerns are invalid. Maybe they're not planning on making everything, you know, you have to subscribe to even access their catalog to buy the game. You have to have a constant internet connection to even play the game, or to validate that you can play the game after so many days. They might do that, which would be better, but even that, you have to install it on your system. So I guess they could uninstall and reinstall, but you have to wait for it to install. Even if you say it takes only a little bit of time, you still have to wait, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, which isn't exactly convenient compared to just plopping a disc in and it working right away. I'll say that much. If you want to get away from discs, I'm sure there's other physical ways you could do it, but, you know, why can't... I guess why can't there be, like, you know, a compromise? Why is it an all or nothing? I don't get it. I mean, if you want to get away from consoles, at least say that. I don't know if I'll be completely supporting it, but I wouldn't feel like it's as crappy a decision if I at least knew, you know, you're not expecting us to spend a lot of money on a console, and, you know, like, at least say, well, console prices can go down to like a couple hundred, you know, like thousands of dollars. Like, you spend the same price on a console and a PC, why not just get a PC? I know, convenience. Well, it's not really that convenient at a certain point of all these accounts and verifications, and I would argue you should just buy a PC and not waste your money on a console at a certain point, because you get way more out of it. You have way more control over it. You don't have to buy a new PC completely either. You can just take a component out or even upgrade it. A console doesn't do that. You have to buy it $1,000 every time. I know it's okay with a phone. I don't think it's okay personally, but, you know, I mean, at that point, why not have the games on your phone? Why not have the games on your tablet? Why not have them on your TV and your PC? Like, why you even need a console at a certain point? It's just, I know, and it's all or nothing for the digital. I get it. If it wasn't storage space as a problem, and if storage space wasn't going up in price, I would be less aggravated. But the problem is I do not see a future where they can sustain the size that games are. I guess you can uninstall and install a new game, but that does take a lot of time, and also, I don't know, I mean, I don't think it's as convenient as they're making it out to be. I really don't think it's that convenient. And it just feels bad, like, having one game on your console. Like, only one game fits on the console. Maybe two. I mean, I guess if you have three, that's fair enough. But, like, I don't think they're going to get it to 3 games on a console. I really don't. I feel like they're moving more and more towards either 1 or 2 games on a console at most. And that's with new games. Like old games, for sure. Arguably, it's cheaper to just get them on PC, if I'm being honest with you, with older games. But, I don't know. I feel like consoles losing more of its enjoyment. I mean, handhelds, I still enjoy and stuff, but I just feel like consoles are losing something that kind of got me into them. If they move just towards digital only. Because I wouldn't mind like a digital game here and there. But for me personally, I get it on PC if I'm getting it digitally. I don't like to get it on console. Because I know as soon as the store is gone, there's no way for me to get the game back and re-download it at all. So, you know, eventually the console would become a brick because I couldn't put anything on it unless I pirate the game somehow, which... Why would you want to do that? You're not supposed to, but, you know... There's really no other way to put them on the system after that. And with as long as it takes to make the games and as long as the system lasts... I feel like by the time there's a bunch of games on it is about the same time that they transition to another generation. So you don't get very much time to even play the games. It's just another way for you to pay for the next thing and not have anything on it. And the games have to take more time, but there always has to be a console generation. And it always has to be backlogging or backlagging. It's just kind of annoying that they plan their generations in conjunction with that rather than giving games breathing room. But it just feels like everything's at the tail end. Like they release everything at the tail end of the generation of the console. It's just stupid. So stupid. Like it's just... I get like, you know, you expect people to lose interest after you release everything at once. It's just like... I don't know. It'd be nice if they planned ahead and released everything at the beginning, and then you enjoyed all that throughout it, or at least kind of had like a fair thing that. I don't know. Maybe it's because people are able to make more stuff for the console throughout, and it's just that you really learn that stuff near the end of it. And it's weird because you gain this whole base of people both making games and getting games for a system, but then you have to go to another generation right off the bat. Like there, I feel like if they just lagged a couple years, they would see the funding that they seem to say they don't see. They just push so hard for generations. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. Okay, how much do I got? So I did about an hour here. Like I said, next Tuesday I'm going to be coming back, starting back up with where I left off with the Batman game. I forget it was Arkham City, something like that. There again, I want to apologize for not being on time for the stream, like I said. And I apologize for being a little bit later today. Like I said, a couple of days I just kind of passed out. I think it was the same day I was going to stream on that I kind of just passed out from working quite a bit. And I definitely wanted to stream, but I just really couldn't. And if I did, then I feel like I would have ended up passing out during the time I needed to plan for my trip. And that definitely wouldn't have been good, so, you know, I just didn't have the time to stream this week. And I really should be apologizing for the fact that I even promised to stream on a week that I kind of knew I had stuff, but I didn't know I had as much. Like, I didn't expect Windows to have an update that would be such a pain to do, and then, you know, today I didn't expect OBS to be giving me as much trouble as it did. Because I did the same thing I did to fix it last time, and there was even that as a problem, so that sucked. because it didn't work. Like, I reinstalled it and that didn't fix it. I had to, like I said, reset my audio, close it, open it, and then set it back, and then close it and open it again, and everything seems to be working. But man, and it wasn't just for like a couple little convenient factors. It's like when I play my games off of my consoles and systems, I couldn't hear any audio coming out of it. That's how broken it got. I'm using a capture card to listen to everything, internal one with my PC. And that breaks for some reason with my monitoring device. I have a custom one. Anyways, I'm not going to try to explain too much with that, but I know I overcomplicate things. I know I'm not really saying what I need to for that, but I do hope that taking a break from shorts, I don't have a time when I'm going to get back to it. I think once I get a little bit more caught up, maybe I'll start doing some shorts after that. I'm still going to prep shorts for streams and stuff, and I still VODs and stuff like that. I might release the VODs still, or I think I'm gonna wait to release VODs until I start back with shorts. So VODs and shorts are probably gonna just be like a thing. This one I'll put as a VOD for sure, but you know, as far as like my games and stuff like that that aren't announcement based or any of that kind of stuff, I'm just gonna keep those as a waiting thing. I'm still gonna make them. I'm just gonna wait to release them until I feel like I'm caught up on everything, so I can, you know, give attention to you and to the things I'm doing, and not just doing things without thinking, because I do a lot of that, and I do want to apologize for that for sure. If I can apologize in a way that I'm not sounding like I'm being unsincere about it, because I'm pretty sure I'm coming off that way, but I'm just a little bit vocally tired from getting aggravated with all these other things, so I apologize. I probably ended up saying a lot of things to OBS and Windows, just trying to get it to work, so, you know, there was that before stream, so my voice isn't exactly in the best spot, but I guess I'm saying it's not really getting any easier with how much time I have to spend to fix things, but, you know, streams have gotten a lot easier to make. The thing that hasn't gotten easier is me having time to commit to them yet. Once I get through a lot of this stuff, I will have that time. It's just, it's harder to manage the doing things for the streams to be ready and being ready for the streams at the same time. Anyways, now's really not the time to go over too much, but for those of you, I hope you've had a good day. I hope you've had a good Spider-Man day, for as much as the stream even had anything to do with that. It was going to have way more to do with Spider-Man Day today. I planned a lot more for it, but if you've seen the movie, I saw it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you were able to. If you did, if you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but I hope you have a good Spider-Man Day. If you're seeing it today, or if you saw it today, then I hope you've enjoyed it or are going to enjoy it. If you can see it over the weekend, which a lot of people will, then I hope you enjoyed that. Like tomorrow, I guess, is the weekend, because today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday, or whatever. Yeah, today's Saturday. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me during this stream. I'm sorry that it was just a chatting stream. I'm sorry I didn't have any game or anything. I had stuff prepared, but I just couldn't really, didn't have very much time for this stream, and like I said, I'm just kind of behind on things, so I don't want to give you timelines for stuff and promise things I can't do. I'm just going to promise the things that I can do, which, like I said, the Tuesday streams, I could do them now that I'm not like, you know, chained to today to get stuff done like I thought I was. Like, I was really trying to get stuff done for today, but, you know, now that I'm not going to do that, because I just couldn't. I stayed up just about all night trying to, but like I said, I couldn't get as much as I wanted. I mean, I wasn't going to get it all done. I just meant, you know, I had a direct announcement for what I was doing, and I can't give you that yet because I just couldn't get it done last night. Like I said, I stayed up till 3 or something working on it, and it just was not something I could get done. But I did make progress. I want to make it clear, I made progress. I wasn't just sitting there or nothing. It's just the progress I made, and the amount I need to do is way more than what I was doing there. So that's why we're gonna move it towards a few streams ahead. Hopefully by the September or whatever that slate is. Hopefully by the next slate that I'm revealing. Hopefully by then I'll have more info. But like I said, I don't have a timeline or a promise for that, and I don't really want to talk too much about it because I know I'm gonna end up making too many compromises if I try to do that. So like I said, I'm just gonna let it be its own little creative endeavor and just leave it to that. I'll let you figure out what it is, what it means, what we're doing at a later date. But I want to thank you here for joining me during this stream. Hopefully I'll be able to see you during Tuesday, which will be going back to Batman. A little bit of a weird thing to mention on Spider-Man Day, but yes, we will be continuing from Tuesday, which I missed. And I'm gonna try to do a makeup stream for that. So, you know, figure out what day of the week I can do it. I'm not gonna give you a time because I just don't have a timeline for it. But I'll go live on a day that's convenient enough that I can do it. I don't know what day of the week it's gonna be, but yeah, we're gonna do that. But the rest of today and tomorrow, I'm just gonna try to take a break from working on this kind of stuff, because like I said, I've really been working on it every day. It hasn't been me taking a break this week. It literally has been me working and just having more work than I can get done to just get done. I don't know any other way to explain it. Anyways, I want to thank you. Then again, I'm gonna end stream. Hopefully I'll see you then. You could check for my times for my streams. These are my Tuesday times on my pinned comment. If you click on the link there, it'll show you my schedule. Otherwise, I think I'm going to update my title with the next stream so that you can always see that from my channel what the next thing is going to be. So if you don't see what my current one is or any of that stuff, even if there's no pinned comment, you'll see what the next one's going to be and when it's going to be. So I'm going to try to do that. But I want to thank you for joining. Thank you for those who listened to me today. I know you probably had a lot of other things that were more interesting to do today, so I apologize for not having a little more interesting stuff for you today like I had originally planned, but I guess in some ways I'm happy that I didn't have to take up too much time, because I feel like there was a lot of other things going on and I didn't really want to kind of get in the way of that stuff. So I hope, you know, taking the time here, it won't, and it'll be able to have its own room to breathe and allow everyone else to breathe at the same time. So thank you there, and again, and I hope to see you at a later point. Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. It's gonna be the 11th, so hopefully I can see you on the 11th at the normal time. I don't expect to be late for that one because, like I said, now I'm decoupling myself from this. I don't have that chain hooked to today anymore, so it's not gonna be as strict on me trying to get it ready for today. And that's why I hope you can understand me not having a timeline for you, because I'm gonna be able to spend more time for these events, not trying to make sure I get today. Originally it was going to be like, oh wow, I have a bonus stream and the stream is this. No, that didn't happen. Anyways, just know that that's what I was planning, and I couldn't really pull it off.